anytime that I have an arm drag, I have the grip drag. So for the purpose of this class, when you're setting up the gift wrap, you can use any kind of arm drag. Okay? You just like turn the hand over here and set up an arm drag that way, or use a specific way you want to do it, that's fine. If you're not an arm drag person, you don't allow to scrape it back. I'm going to set you up with one just to get us started. Okay, so this is going to be from the closed guard. Okay, I talked about in my other class about how I don't like trying to search for hands. They could be anywhere. All right, so I try to predict where they're going to be. So one of the things that's really common from the closed guard is this grip right here, this cross collar grip. So when I do this, in order to gain posture, start opening the guard, breaking the guard, a lot of times he'll come to my wrist with both hands in pocket, right? All right, so this is an indicator as to where his hands are going to be. So I set up my grip here, and as soon as he does, I grab his sleeve, okay? This is going to set up my arm drag. So I'm just going to cross pull both my arms, okay? Especially if I have a sleeve that he's gripping, I need to grip this one out at the same time. So I'm just gripping my arms in both directions. Once I bring this across, I got to keep it. I don't want to lose it, okay? If I don't do anything right now, it postures back up. Not much I can do to stop it. So I rip this across, foot on the floor and hip out, and then close my guard back up. If he's a really big guy and I can't lock my ankles, no big deal. I just got to at least pinch down with this top arm, all right? And I'm just taking this little space away here, all right? So now I've gained control of his posture, very difficult for him to get it back. I've done a successful arm drag, all right? And now we're going to transition to the gift wrap. So it's a really simple adjustment from here. My top hand is going to grip his wrist. My bottom arm's coming underneath and getting a Kimura grip, and again, taking all this space away. Now I've gotten to the gift wrap position. This is going to be home base today. So again, this is just our one setup. So cross collar grip. I find the sleeve because I know where his hand's going to be. I rip in both directions. I'm using my legs to bring him in as well. Foot on the floor, hip out, close the guard back out, or back up. Lots of pressure here to keep his posture broken. My chest comes to his tricep. I grip the wrist here, the C grip. I'm coming underneath of this arm and getting the Kimura grip, and then squeezing everything tight. All right? I have a good tight control here, posture break, and this is the gift wrap position here. Does anybody have any questions?
Can you do it again?
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Does it matter for you if you're doing a thumb over or picking up on monkey grip?
C grip. I like the C grip. Better control with the thumb on opposite side. So his question was monkey grip or C grip. C grip is better. All right. Any other questions? All right, let's go.
Okay, and he's grabbing the same side?
Everybody have any problems so far? Everyone's pretty good that I saw. All right, can I borrow another partner, please? Yeah.
On the transition to getting to my side, I was having to hold the back of his head. Is that okay? Like I felt he was gonna leave me.
Sure. So, box, make sure the bottom touches, right? Here, reach for the grip, go to the pocket. Here you're controlling the head here. Yeah, absolutely nothing wrong with that. For a split second, you don't really have any good posture. A lot of times, his momentum sinking forward, like it's moving this direction. There's going to be a pause before you can start moving backwards again. So when I pop this, I come forward, if I take that real quick, use that to check. But there's nothing wrong with our holding the head. Yeah, that won't hurt you. All right, so once we get our setup here, we have the gift wrap. This is really good control, right? So it's very hard for him to posture up. Okay, and I've taken complete control over one arm here. All right. The biggest worry that I might have for him to start unraveling this is to loop his head out. All right. Sometimes I might do that first setup, but I want to do it on my terms, not his. So it's really important that I eliminate all the space here. All right. If you try to do the same thing again, it's gone. Okay. And all I did was bring my arms in tight, and I pull this towards the ceiling. All right. That takes all the slack out. All right. So now that I have control, I can start going into my submissions. Now, if I put myself kind of back into more of a traditional guard, basically by changing the angle that I came from, I'm not on the side anymore. I'm facing the ceiling a little bit more. I still have control of his posture. I don't have the leg clamp on the back as much as I used to, but now I have the gift wrap, which is what's controlling his posture. From here, I can do pretty much any submission that I can do from the guard, the armbar, the triangle. If you do a submission from guard, you can do it with the gift wrap, but you have a little bit extra control here, okay? So the one we're gonna start with here is the armbar. So foot on the hip, change my angle, and as I do, I'm gonna let go of the loop here. And that's what allows me to push the face. I'm kicking higher into the armpit. I bring the arm over top, the leg over top rather, and extend for the armbar finish. Okay? All right, same setup we did already. All I'm doing now is squaring back up. Back to the guard position, but with the gift wrap. And then I'm doing my armbar the same way we traditionally would. So foot on the hip, change the angle. It's as I'm changing the angle that I'm letting the head go. And this becomes my posture control. If you got a guy with really big shoulders and you're not very flexible and you have trouble getting that leg over, no problem. Just jump the shoulder if I can't get the head. Close your feet. And as I let go of this wrist, I can push the face away. And now it's really easy. Okay? So some of you guys are about as flexible as me, which is very flexible. So if you have trouble getting the leg over, that little pit stop in between is a good tool. And we'll see it again. Gift wrap. Foot on the hip, square back up, change the angle and let the head go. Can't get my leg over, I pit stop right here. And this way I can let go of the arm and push the face. I created a bunch of extra space to get my leg over, pinch the knees. I'm facing the ceiling, extend. Any questions?
So you're suffering from losing that arm hold and just keeping a hold on the wrist, or is that?
So, in the beginning, when we're setting up, there's a couple different things that we're going over here. So, after I bring this arm across, I'm always rolling going. You're right. Like I don't want to undo work that I've done before. So by changing my angle here, that's a big tool that we talked about, but I didn't really explain why. If I'm here and I try to do the gift wrap, I don't have much behind his tricep. If he starts to gain a little bit of posture here, that's exactly what happens. So that's the reason why we're hipping out, changing our angle here, because then my body's behind his tricep. So when he goes to try to rip it out again, my body's in the way.
Awesome.
Yep. And then once we're here, again, he's not going to rip it out. He's more likely to get his head loose. But if I keep the space eliminated and I keep his hand high, right? Low wrist, lots of space to circle his head out. High wrist, it's all gone. Okay, so this grip, can you get your arm out? Yeah. Good question. All right, let's go.
Oh, Arlen, good.
Okay. Yeah, so move up. Like I said, any submission that we can do from the guard, we can do with the gift wrap. It gives us a little bit of extra control, okay? So the next one's going to be my triangle, okay? So there's a couple different ways to set it up, but if we start thinking about what this arm is likely to be doing, this one here, pushing, right? So I'm going to let go with this hand and find the wrist and punch it to her abdomen, the same way we would with a triangle from the regular guard. One arm in, one arm out. This becomes the arm in. So now I'm just jumping the shoulder. The arm's already across, right? So for a triangle, normally I got to bring it from the outside hip towards the inside, but we're already there. So now all I have to do to finish here is let go of this wrist and replace it with my shin Foot on the hip to change the angle, and lock it up. Okay, so it's kind of cool because we've already got the arm across. It's something we did. We did the work early instead of later on. Same setup here. Sometimes I even bait here, right? I'll bring this knee in high. So now she's adjusting the knee instead. Again, I like to predict where the hand is going to be. So that when I let go, push it towards the center and jump the shoulder. So I'm just going to let go of the hand and replace with the shin. And this way I'm still controlling the posture instead of with the gift wrap. Now it's just with my shin. Foot on the hip so I can change the angle and then lock it back up for the finish. Make sense? You might need to see it again?
I have a question.
Yeah.
When would you go for an arm bar versus triangle? Like, what are some deciding factors?
So, I think for me, it's kind of a lot has to feel with what's free, right? So, pretty much my setup and everything the same is right here, right now, okay? I haven't done anything different yet between these two. So, like I said, sometimes I like to bait by punching this knee through. If she takes the bait, I'm going for the triangle. If she doesn't take the bait, right, I punch this knee like up high and she doesn't really do anything with it, then it might be a little more difficult for me to push the knee through, or push the arm through rather. So I'm not going to. Instead, now I'm going to start to square back up, right? So now I like to look for the arm bar. Or maybe that's not there either, and I go into some of the other stuff we're going to go into afterwards. So it's little like things you throw out there early on and see which one feels more comfortable. When you do a lot of arm bars, a lot of triangles, a lot of omoplatas, a lot of chokes from the guard, eventually you start to feel what's there and what's not, what they're giving you, what they aren't. So that's a good question. But in this case, I would say if you could pick one indicator, it's that knee. Bring that knee up tight. If she goes to touch it, you know where the arm is, take advantage of it. If she doesn't, move on to something else. Good questions. Anybody else? All right, let's go. All right, so arm bars and triangles from the guard. Everybody mostly knows those after they've been doing jiu-jitsu for a little bit. So we move on to something a little bit more unique to the gift wrap, all right? And that's the Ezekiel choke, okay? So I talked about wanting to take all the space out here for control, right? I want to kind of balance control with space on this one so that I don't lose it in my setup. So the first thing I need to do is actually give back some of the space that I created. So instead of having the wrist high, I'm going to punch it out a little bit, all right? And the first thing I'm going to do as soon as I do that is bring this inside hand to the bicep. And because if I punch the hand out and I do nothing, he loops his head out, right? But by controlling the bicep, he might lift his head up, but I still have control of his posture. So now that my hand has made it from the far side of his head to the close side of his head, I'm going to find my arm here. And now I'm going to close the gap for the Ezekiel choke. So I don't want to choke with my arms, so I'm not just going to simply push his head into the choke. Instead, I'm going to use my body. So the hand's kind of staying still. I might push it a little bit, but mostly my tightening comes from extending my whole body away from him. Okay? So, set everything up the same. And I have control. I create space and bring my hand to the other side, and I take a little time to control the bicep here so that he doesn't loop his head out. This hand is coming right to my arm, and now I'm going to close the gap by pulling my body away. When I pull my body away, I want to make sure that my angle's good. So we talk about attacking the sides of the neck for most chokes, right? If I'm all the way on my side here, and this is probably the problem that most people run into, and I'm closing the gap here, I'm not on the parts of his neck that I need to be choking. So as I'm closing the gap here, I might change my angle a little bit here so that my arm is more, my forearm, right here, lift your head up for a second, please. My forearm is on his neck here instead of the front of his neck instead of the side. So we're here and I'm closing the gap. Okay, my hips are doing a lot of the work here. Time. Any questions? All right, let's go.
Like, don't lie to me, so.
Again, same setup. Okay, so for this one, I'm gonna change my angle a little bit, like I kind of have with a lot of these so far, where I'm coming back towards the center. And when I do, I'm gonna let go with the bottom arm, okay? And I'm gonna feed it between his legs. So here, and I'm getting as deep as I can. Now, in order to do that, I need space. So I'm kind of using this grip here to pull him off the floor a little bit. And that gives me the space now to get underneath as deep as I can. And I'm curling my body underneath, okay? So now we're gonna do a pendulum sweep. So this leg is my pendulum to create momentum. And this leg is gonna kick under his armpit. And my goal is to get his shoulder to touch the mat. Once his shoulder touches the mat, that's where he's gonna come up to the mount position. So again, creating space underneath, okay? If I just simply try to dive underneath, especially if he's hunkering down, there's nowhere for me to go. Okay, so extending towards the ceiling here. And as I let go with this hand, I'm taking the space away to make sure he doesn't collapse towards the floor again. Diving underneath between his two legs, and then I'm cupping this leg here. The further I get him underneath, the easier this becomes. Space. This kick is important. So when I go to like pendulum out, if I leave it there, he's gonna get stuck on it when I come up. So I get the momentum that I want, and then it circles underneath so that it's not in the way of the mount position. Any questions? All right, let's go. So the gift wrap is simply a position from the guard, right? So we got our sweep to our mount. We still have the gift wrap from the mount here. So just like all the submissions that we can do from the guard with the gift wrap, we can do all the submissions we could typically do from the mount with the gift wrap. So I can get mounted triangles. I can transition to the arm bars because his arm's all the way already across already. I can do the same Ezekiel that I did earlier. All right. During that sweep, I can put my foot on the floor and start transitioning to technical mount and start setting all the same things up. Okay. From side control, if I can get this arm across here, again, setting up all the same submissions that you can do from any position. If you have the gift wrap, you have the same things available to you still, with a little bit more control. And the gift wrap really is just a result of getting an arm drag. So if you get an arm drag from any position, you get to the gift wrap. So just play with that a little bit on your own time. And thanks a lot for your attention. Thank you.